So let's get back now to the shakeup at the White House. Former chief of staff to Bill Clinton, John Podesta, is joining the administration as a counselor, we're told. It's widely seen as a respected Washington veteran coming in to clean up after the badly botched Obamacare rollout. Current chief of staff Dennis McDonough pushing for the new addition as the White House faces even more personnel moves in the coming months. So what's going on? Joining us now, Ellison Barber, a writer with the Washington Free Beacon. Always kind of interesting to me whenever somebody who was identified closely with the Clinton administration comes into the Obama White House. What do you think it's about?
Right, it really is interesting, and I think there's a big point to take from, which you said he is very well connected. He's a very good strategist, and he's very well respected throughout D.C. I think it's pretty obvious that the Obama administration realizes that they've had some big problems in the rollout, and they need someone to kind of help and come in and clean up shop with that, and this seems to be really an effort at doing that. Mr.
Podesta will help Mr. McDonough, the chief of staff, on matters related to the health care law. That could be a full-time job.
Right, that could, and he's also supposed to be advising on executive orders and climate policy. So I think you could see maybe one of two things happen. One thing that's interesting to note is that John Podesta actually tweeted out a tweet when the Affordable Care Act was having all of their sign-up trouble, saying, Medicare took me 5 minutes to sign up, and then he asked the question, single-payer system, anyone? So that sort of is going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because for a lot of people, he's someone that is very far left, and they may be worried about the solutions that he will come up with, but also he's been very big with his organization, Center for American Progress, on the climate side as well.
Just as an aside, John Podesta is worth a lot of money. What does he need Medicare for? Isn't he one of those people who should just be voluntarily?
He is. That's another thing that's interesting about this hire, is that while he may be really qualified in terms of a strategic standpoint and kind of his connections, he is also the founder of Center for American Progress, which is the most influential liberal think tank in D.C. He's worth a lot of money. His brother is actually Tony Podesta, who's the president of the Group, which is one of the largest lobbying groups in D.C. So there are questions, too, for the administration, for someone who claimed to be against that type of secret big money. CAP doesn't put out their donors, that he has hired someone who is affiliated with an organization like that, which the president has been very critical of. So it's a little bit ideological and consistent for the president to bring him on.
He was at the White House when the Monica Lewinsky mess was plaguing the Clinton administration, and you could argue that Obamacare is the biggest mess plaguing this administration right now, so maybe that's a connection there. He comes also as a guy named Pete Rouse is leaving the White House. He's been the president's advisor for, well, back to the time when he was an Illinois senator. Here's a picture of Rouse. The New York Times points out Mr. Podesta and Mr. Rouse share some similarities. Both are older than the 52-year-old president. Mr. Rouse is 67, Mr. Podesta nearly 65, and are said to be able to speak candidly to him, much like party elders. Both have also have far more experience, Washington experience, than Mr. Obama. So this is a case maybe of a graybeard coming in to steady an administration that's a little shaky?
Possibly, and John Podesta is certainly a Washington insider. I mean, he has great connections through both his nonprofit, which has been able to be wildly successful because of those connections, but also through the relationships that he established under the Clinton administration. So it could be a case of that's someone who has connections where the president doesn't, that he could reach out and maybe help, particularly moving forward in the PR campaign.